Hi, it's Shola Kaye here from Speak Up Like a Diva, Speak Up and Shine. I'm a public speaking coach, a professional performer and speaker based in London. And today I want to talk about something that's super important if you want your event to go right, and that's doing your audience research. Now, what prompted me to talk about this is an event I was at a couple of weeks ago where things didn't quite go to plan. And when I analysed what it was that had caused things to not be quite as smooth as they usually are, because I've been a professional performer for the last 15 years and 99.9% of my events go incredibly smoothly and I get great feedback. This one didn't go quite as smoothly. And when I analysed what it was that was the problem, it was because I didn't do my usual thorough audience research and I didn't speak to the right person before the event. I relied on some information from a middle person, an agent, if you like, and as a result, I wasn't on top of all the needs and requirements that this client had, and also the nuance of the relationship, because everybody's different. Some clients are pretty mellow, others are very much sticklers and they need things to be done a certain way at a certain time, and if that doesn't happen, then they're not happy. And some of those people are maybe they're not happy people anyway, but nevertheless, you still have a duty to fulfill because you're there on their behalf. You're there to please them and to do whatever it is that they have booked you for, whether they're paying you or they're not paying you. You still have a duty. So I thought what I would do is just have a look at, it's my book, How to Be a Diva at Public Speaking. I thought I would read you some of the key points from there in terms of the audience research and just sort of speak around what are some of the most important bits of information you need to have before you turn up to do a speaking gig, before even you write the first word of your presentation. So let's look at that. So some of the things that you might want to know are, for example, how many people are you going to be speaking to? The way that you speak to an intimate group of 10 or 12 people could be very different than how you address a group of 300. For example, you might have more interactivity with a small group. You may have interactivity with a larger group, but the way you manage it will be very different. You might want to ask about the age range. You might want to ask what these people have in common with each other. You might want to ask, what are their top 3 needs? Why were you hired to get in front of those people? What is it that they want from you? When they made their decision to bring you in, what was it that they saw about you that made them think, yes, he or she is the one, we want her? Because if you know that, then you can give them more of that so they're even happier. But if you don't know that, you might be thinking they brought you in because you spoke at another event or because you have certain skills. But it may be that it was a particular story that they heard of yours that they thought, wow, we must hear that story again. That will be so powerful for our audience. But if you don't know that it's that story that reeled them in, then you may leave that story out. And then they'll be unhappy because they felt that they didn't get what they wanted. Other questions could be, what's the particular interest that they have in your subject matter? So, for example, if I'm speaking to a group of entrepreneurs, their interest in public speaking primarily will be around how to use speaking to enroll more clients or to sell more products. Whereas if I'm speaking to a corporate group, their interest in speaking might be because they're speaking at large conferences for their industry. It might be because they want to get ahead in their career, because they want to be more influential. So those are nuances there within your subject matter that you need to make sure that you're aware of. Are there any sensitive topics that you should avoid? Is there something that you should not discuss because that will instantly either put people's backs up or put them on the defensive or just not, it's a taboo area. And in particular, if you're speaking to young people, that might be a question that it's really important for you to ask. You might want to ask about dress, how people dress, how should you dress? the decision maker. You know, is there a big honcho that's going to be in the audience that perhaps you haven't had an opportunity to speak to in the run-up, but that person really must be satisfied with what happens because they are perhaps the sponsor of the entire event. So questions like that are super important, as well as logistical questions in terms of, what time are you expected to arrive? Who should you check in with when you do arrive? Where will you be expected to wait before you actually go onto the stage and give your talk or your performance? There are so many questions, and over time, as you do more and more speaking gigs, you'll get a feel for exactly the questions that you need to have answered for you to do the very best job that you can, and for your audience and your sponsors or the people hiring you to be incredibly pleased with what you offered them, with what you delivered. And so, no two speakers' sets of questions will be exactly alike, but you've got to make sure that you have your routine that you follow ahead of time, so that way you know that you've always got the information you need, you're always in contact with the right people in the lead up to the event, that your follow-up is always uniform and it's, very professional. So I hope that helps, and I hope that you can start to put together your own checklist of questions that you will just rely upon, and that will become a bedrock for you in terms of making sure that every speaking opportunity goes according to plan and is incredibly successful. So that's it from me today. If you're interested in taking a next step with me, why not download my free guide to where to find speaking opportunities? Or if you're interested in having a look at my group coaching online program because you want to make more money with speaking and get more clients with speaking and indeed become a better speaker, then take a look at the page for that. But I look forward to speaking to you next time, and remember to do your research.